Good morning, everyone. My name is Mighty Stream. I'm going to do your August the 9th just for today in a meditation. Greet you this morning. Welcome to the podcast. The title of the meditation for today, The Power of Love. We begin to see that God's love has been present all the time, just waiting for us to accept it. That comes from our basic text, page 47. God's love is the transforming power that drives our recovery. With that love, we find freedom from the hopeless, desperate cycle of using, self-hatred, and more using. With that love, we gain a sense of reason and purpose in our once purposeless lives. With that love, we are given the inner direction and strength we need to begin a new way of life, the NA way. With that love, we begin to see things differently, as if with new eyes. As we examine our lives through the eyes of love, we make what may be a startling discovery. The loving God we've so recently come to understand has always been with us and has always loved us. We recall the times when we asked for the aid of a higher power and were given it. We even recall times when we didn't ask for such help, yet were given it anyway. We realize that a loving higher power has cared for us all along, preserving our lives till the day when we could accept that love for ourselves. The power of love has been with us all along. Today, we are grateful to have survived long enough to become consciously aware of that love's presence in our world and our lives. Its vitality floods our very being, guiding our recovery and showing us how to live. Just for today, I accept the love of a higher power in my life. I am conscious of that power's guidance and strength within me. Today, I claim it for my own. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. I believe I can remember the exact time that I realized God's love was with me all the time. The reason why I felt that it wasn't with me or believed that it wasn't was because of the circumstances that surrounded me and some of the circumstances that I grew up in. And I didn't think that if there was a God, a loving God, that God would have allowed all those things to happen. In other words, they were so painful, so traumatic that it diminished my belief in a loving God. But I can recall the exact day, maybe not the exact hour, but the exact 2-3 hour frame of time that I realized that God was with me. The thing that had stopped me from being able to see God's love, that power of love in my life, was all of the unloving things that were taking place around me. And I was blaming God, in a sense, for a lot of the decisions that I was making or could have made differently. So, in other words, instead of assuming my responsibility for my circumstances, the things that I could change, right? That serenity prayer. I was passing the buck on to God and, in a sense, using it to disguise my own rebelliousness. Because obviously I'm an addict, right? So I wanted to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. And I would even use my past, right? My childhood as a reason as well to stay high. But I remember the moment that changed for me. And I could no longer look my past in the face and point my fingers at God or anyone else. Because my job in the here and now was to accept that I had survived to that point, that there was nothing that I could do short of suicide to end my life, and that I was going to need to live it, on a day-to-day basis, sometimes a moment-to-moment basis, with a different mind frame. And I'll tell you the truth, not using had a lot to do with me coming to that point. I like how it says here that there's times we prayed, we sought, right? We sought after God, we sought help, and we received it. But guess what? There were a lot of times we sought and didn't ask and still received it. To me, that's beautiful. See, I'm not talking about religious conversion, right? I'm talking about that crossover from the physical into the spiritual principle. The flesh trying to do this and be that, hide this, say that, maneuver this, manipulate that. Moving from that over into the arena of faith, the arena of love, the arena of peace. It's so much easier today to wake up and want to live the day and to participate in my recovery because of the power of love, because of believing today that I am loved and I'm lovable. Where are you with that? That's my piece. What's your piece? I want to hear how you're processing before recovery and after recovery, the here and now, right? Before your awareness of your higher power's love and your awareness of it now. Because love has, I don't want to say symptoms, right? But love has proof. There's something about love that is able to be seen and felt. Now, it's not all the time that you can put your finger on a spiritual principle and say, there goes faith. But most of the time, these spiritual principles have fruit, right? They're like seeds that we plant, and there's things, depending on the spiritual principle that we're planting in our lives, once it takes root, it begins to grow. And what grows out of our spiritual principles are things that people can see, oftentimes hear, and most of the time feel. So in this power of love, what has grown from it in your life? And if you're struggling to see what has grown, then I would submit to you that it's possible that you're still struggling with this concept of being loved by God or your higher power loving you. And that takes us back to the third step. You have to know what your understanding of God is. Not perfectly, but you need to have some substance about your third step. And once you build that and you begin to let it take shape and form, now you have something outside of just your own effort, more powerful than just your own effort. And you can develop trust in that third step. It's really honestly the thing that changed. Well, the thing that changed everything for me was one, not using. Two, coming to believe that I could be restored to sanity, which my first step was evidence that I had come to that point. Otherwise, I would not be clean. But in that third step, there was a decision that I had to make. And that decision had a lot to do with this reading. It took me a while to be able to authentically make that decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understood Him. Because, like I said in the beginning, I had so much from my childhood that was traumatic that it was hard to believe that God was present. And I know there's a lot of you listening that you can relate to that. And you might even still be there. You need to figure your way out, not out, but through that third step. It's not avoidable. And it has absolutely nothing to do with religion. It has everything to do with you having faith in the power of love, a loving and caring higher power. There really isn't any way around this. Because that is what's going to keep you buoyant, your faith, your belief that love is present in your life. And if you're struggling to see it, again, today I would like to suggest to you to make a list, a gratitude list that is relatively permanent, hasn't changed over the years. On a good day, it will be your gratitude list. On a bad day, it would be the same things that you're grateful for, beginning with your very life. And shove that in the back of your basic text or write it on the back last page of the cover. And whenever you get in that funk, go back to it. And repeat it, reread it over and over and over till it takes a hold in your spirit. Because you are loved. We all are. My name is Maddie Stream. I've enjoyed talking to you today. I hope that you will have a beautiful day on purpose. I'm going to. It's early yet. It's 4:10 a.m. And today is going to be a long day, but it's going to be a beautiful day. I'm going to make sure that. Talk to you soon.